What is going on, you guys? Petplatypus here, and it is time to talk about Young Justice episodes 3 and 4. Starting off with episode 3, Alienated. This was a pretty damn cool episode, I'm not gonna lie. We got some really cool action in this one. The reveal of Aqualad, which I have to question. Gotta be a little suspect on that one, but I'll talk about that in a moment. But in terms of like the animation and everything, of course it was top notch. The series looks absolutely fantastic, as always. Artwork's very good, animation's very good, the fight choreography was on point. It was really cool seeing Wonder Woman and Wonder Girl and Superman and Superboy work together. Of course, seeing Batman in action is always awesome because he's Batman. But what's interesting about the Superman-Superboy thing is that they're definitely a lot friendlier with each other, and this makes sense. It's been 5 years, and they started to talk to each other at the end of Season 1, so definitely makes sense that they would be working together, though it is interesting that he called Superboy like a little brother at the end of the episode, not like a son, which I think is fine. I mean, he is more of a son, I guess, but I can also see little brother. He's made with his DNA, not necessarily like he had a kid. So, I mean, father and son is where you'd think it would go, but I think little brother works better for both characters, and it's just interesting that he also called him Connell instead of Connor, which was interesting. I don't know if he like abandoned that name because when he broke up with Megan or what, but she is, and yeah, I'll mention that breakup again. I think it definitely has something to do with this fucking mental shit where she's just like, oh, hey, I'm gonna go up to this alien. Oh, hold on. Let me just fuck your brain real quick, alright? Got the information. Oh, you're a vegetable now? Cool, I guess. Whatever. Like, she has a very cold, like, she just does it, and she doesn't give a fuck, and the thing is just sitting there drooling, and it's like, really, bitch? Like, she still seems, like, nice, she still seems like, Megan McGon, whatever, a Miss Martian, but when she goes into the mental manipulation thing, I think she's, I don't know, I'm not gonna, like, psychoanalyze her or anything, but it's definitely interesting that she doesn't seem to give a shit. I mean, obviously she wouldn't do it to a team member, or maybe a human, but I don't think you should do it to an alien life form either, necessarily. So I definitely think Superboy probably broke up with her, something having to do with that. Just have to wait and see how it gets explained. What else happened in this episode? I guess the Justice League leaving. Did I miss something? Like, I know that they, for the 16 hours, they just fucking wreck shit. We find out that, too, which is really good story progression. They just wreck shit and said, we're the Justice League, we're from Earth. And that's why the Krolataean fuckers came to Earth in the first place. And now the Justice League is leaving, I guess, to go to trial. Did I miss when the trial was established? I don't know, whatever. It's not a big deal. That's what they went to do. It leaves the Young Justice team by themselves with no one to support them. That's really, really cool. So, all around, it was a really good episode. The story progression with the Justice League leaving, finding out what those 6 members did for the 16 hours. Aqualad reveal, which I'll talk about in a second. As well as showing a little bit more Megan and Superboy, separation stuff, and nice little hints here and there. Now Aqualad is like the big thing of this episode. I gotta call Double Agent. I hate to just try to call best case scenario right off the bat, but I know, like, he says that his girlfriend died, and she was with the other dude, right? The Lagoon boy. And why he looks like a fish person now, I have no idea, but it seems to be that seems to be the guy. It seems to be him. So I don't know why they, like, I don't know what happened, obviously, in the 5 years, how she died, what was going on, or, that Black Manta was his fucking father. But I feel like Aqualad's more logical than this. I feel like the death of a loved one and knowing that his dad is a villain, I feel like that's not... Because Artemis was a part of the team. He witnessed Artemis have a bad heritage. Her fucking family was all villains, but he was okay with it. He was like, yeah, you're a part of us, But from his perspective, he's like, oh no, my dad's villain. I gotta stick with my dad. It doesn't really jive to me with his logical, very reasonable, very rational perspective. I get that losing someone you love is probably gonna really fuck with you, and you're not going to judge everything accurately, and it makes sense to be irrational, as weird as that sounds, but I don't know, I gotta call Double Agent, but then you have the scene with him and Nightwing and Superboy, and they're in private, there's no one there, and he's still like, yeah, you could arrest me or defuse this bomb, and you know, are we gonna do this one-on-one? Is he, even in private, he still was acting, you know, evil, or, you know, just like a dick. So yeah, I don't know, but I want to call double agent. Maybe he's working for the League and he doesn't want the other Young Justice team members to know, because it just seems, it doesn't seem like his character to do this. But maybe losing someone like that really did cause him to really think irrationally. But we'll just have to wait and see how it gets explained. But overall, this was a really, really good episode. It had really good animation. It had really good fight scenes with really good fight choreography. It had really good story progression, explaining the 16 hours, seeing Aqualad, which is really good characterization for the team in general. Just Artemis and Wally, which is interesting. It's because it's those two, because they would be in a relationship at this point. Well, actually, with Wally, I don't know if they'd still be in a relationship after 5 years, but those two were were going into a relationship at the end of season 1. So it's interesting that it's those two that are missing still. But finding out what happened to Aqualad was crazy. If he did betray, let's see what happens. But could still be a double agent thing. I'm going to hold to that for a while, but I'm not going to put too much stock into it. But we'll just have to wait and see. I can definitely see that being a possibility, though. What else happened in this episode? That's pretty much it. Oh yeah, Superman took a fucking nuclear explosion that looked badass. Of course, he's fucking Superman. What do you expect? But yeah, he was kind of funny in this episode. Like when he says these X-ray visions, like cheating, and his interactions with Connor were, of course, really good. But that's pretty much the episode. The Justice League leaving, the 16 hours, Aqualad, lots of good story progression, really good characterization, all around a fantastic episode. I'd probably... Oh, fantastic's like a strong word, because I was about to give it just a grade, but I'll give it like an 8.5, close to a 9 out of 10 maybe. I always give high ratings to Young Justice episodes because they're really good. I almost feel like I give high ratings to stuff a little too often, but maybe I'll readjust my scale so that like a very good is like a 7.5 or something, and make like a good a 6, and then the 5 being like an average okay episode. Kind of like adjust the scale, you know what I mean? But because I do feel like I hand out the high ratings a little too much outside of 11 or 10. But I will give this one an 8.5 to an 8.8, around there, like an above grade episode. Just, you know, a great episode of the series with lots of really cool setup for future events and a lot of good reveals here for story and everything. But let's move on to episode 4. Okay, so episode 4, Salvage. This was a really good episode. Should be a lot shorter of a review than the previous episode, because this was a very simple episode. You have the two storylines, which are Blue Beetle / Superboy, and then the intervention of Red Arrow. I laughed, but it was actually a really, really good part of the episode. Though they kind of random, I will say. It was kind of random, but it worked. As far as the Blue Beetle storyline goes, we get a lot of characterization on Blue Beetle. We find out a little bit more about him. The scarab that's attached to him is apparently stuck to his spine, probably helping to like keep him alive, or at the very least they're permanently attached, and it can talk to him. It kind of gave me Parasite vibes. If you guys have seen the Parasite anime, basically it's this dude who gets his hand replaced with this creature that has its own intelligence, but it's very cold, it's very calculated, it has no emotion. And I feel like the Beetle talking to him is very similar. The Beetle says, oh, that should have been a lethal shot, or, oh, you should have stabbed those spikes into their bones to secure them better. It's like, holy shit. So, definitely interesting. I don't know if this thing can act on its own. I feel like in the Justice League versus Teen Titans animated movie, it acted on its own to protect him a couple times. Not too sure if it does that in this series, if it's a different version of the character, whatever, you know, powers change depending on the writer. But him and Superboy working together was interesting. And they meet up with these two, they don't meet up, but they face off, I should say, with these two fuckers who we've seen before, and they've used Apocalypse technology before, so they're still setting up that Apocalypse, Darkseid-ish stuff, which sadly probably won't happen in this season, but still, maybe if it gets renewed, we'll get that third season Apocalypse, you know, fucking, what's his name, Darkseid. I'm pretty sure those are the two, Apocalypse and Darkseid, I'm pretty sure those are tied together. But anyways, they fight this giant golem. The golems do fusion and become this giant crystal Groot, fucking golem rock, what was it, crystal, stone, wood, there was 4 of them, right? What am I missing? Whatever, doesn't matter. And this thing was actually kind of sad. It was looking for a place to die because it didn't want to be, like, activated again. And Superboy saying he could relate was interesting. But I like that they communicate with it, and they try to help it. Well, it would have been an interesting climax to not just be a straight-up fight, but of course, other dude had to destroy it. We don't know who this shadowy guy is. I saw Sportsmaster. I pretty much knew that was Sportsmaster before he even stepped out of the shadows because of the shape and everything, but I don't know who the other guy is, so that's very interesting. Sportsmaster goes, and it looks like he mentally fucked those two that were pinned to the trees, almost like what Miss Martian does, so that was interesting. I wonder how he did that exactly. But other than that, that was pretty much that storyline. It was good. It set up a few more things involving apocalypse technology. I think these dudes maybe work for the Light. I feel like Sportsmaster has ties to that. But yeah, that's pretty much the what I want to say. That's that part of the episode. The Roy / Speedy clone / Red Arrow part. Cool seeing Wally. It's interesting that he's retired. I'm assuming Artemis is as well, and we see her at the end. She looks kind of different. I mean, I guess she just changed her hair. Megan changed her hair too, but I don't know. She wasn't unrecognizable. It was just kind of weird seeing her with a totally different hairstyle. But yeah, I guess they're retired. It's interesting. I gotta give Wally a little bit more credit. I should have given him more credit. He's still with her after 5 years. That's cool. I feel like they'll come out of retirement. At least Wally will. But I would assume both at some point in this season. I feel like it's kind of weird to have them retire off screen and then not have them get back into the action at least once or twice. I like that this clone of Speedy is like the guy they've been interacting with the most. This is like the guy. Like, this is, you know, their friend. You know, it doesn't matter if it's not the original. This is the guy they spent all their time with. So it's kind of like, yeah, this is, regardless of who this is still their friend, and they want to help him, and he's just skinny and taking money, and he's not like a criminal. He's still fighting crime, but like, you know, he's looking for the original Speedy, and we find out the other dude is a clone, which, hell yeah, of course he is. He fucking has the same voice and everything. But yeah, we find out he's a clone. We find out that, you know, obviously he's not doing too good. He's skinnier. He's got the fucking 5 o'clock shadow, the straggly hair. But it's cool that they want to help him, and I definitely think he'll come around at some point. He'll learn. And then we find out that Cheshire and him got married. They were talking about how he wouldn't let anyone in. I mean, he let her in, clearly. Or did she let him in? Well, clearly she did, because they have a baby. But yeah, and I mean, she flirted with him and kissed him a couple times, but it's, I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. But 5 years is a long time. Anything can happen. And she left him because he's been obsessed with finding Speedy, but apparently they have one more lead, and that was where the episode ended. So it was definitely really interesting. I loved the characterization on Speedy. Even after 5 fucking years, he's still looking. It's crazy. He's obsessed with it, and I like seeing the characters try to help him. He knows about what happened with Aqualad. Man, the voice actor for Red Arrow is so good. I love that voice actor. I love his delivery, and just everything he says is just so cool. No matter what emotion he's trying to show, it's really, really, he's a really good voice actor with a really good voice. But maybe for the next episode I'll say who he is. I want to give credit, but for now, the only other thing I want to mention is that Aqualad, he works for Black Manta. And at the end of the episode, I forgot to mention that the Illuminati has now inducted Black Manta into their fucking ranks, which means basically Aqualad now works under the enemy, the Illuminati. So that's interesting. But yeah, that's pretty much all I have to say. The characterization in this episode was really, really good for Blue Beetle and Red Arrow. Kind of funny that it was Blue Beetle and Red Arrow, but whatever. And then the fighting was really, really cool, and then the intervention and the talking with him was really, really cool. I definitely think Wally's going to get back in on the action at some point, probably Artemis as well. We'll just have to wait and see, but it is kind of interesting that they're retired. I'm curious why they retired. Maybe it was Aqualad's betrayal, maybe something else happened we'll find out about later, but I am interested to find out why they retired. Maybe they just wanted to be safe, maybe they just didn't want to be in the danger anymore, maybe something really risky happened where they almost died or something. Just have to wait and see, but it was definitely an interesting episode. But with all that being said, I'd probably give this one a solid 7.5 to 8 out of 10. It was a very good episode of Young Justice. I didn't quite like it as much as the previous episode, though it did still have some really solid characterization. And it was just sort of okay in terms of story progression. It set some things up, you know, it gave potential, but I wouldn't really say anything with the whole invasion storyline or anything really moved along in this one, really. It just kind of moved along character arcs, you know, this character arc that a Red Arrow is going through, and this character arc that I wouldn't say really Blue Beetle is going through, but like just finding out more about him, I suppose. But with all that being said, 8 out of 10, very good episode of Young Justice. So, with all that being said, what did you guys think of these episodes of Young Justice? You can tell me in the comments section below. You can also follow me on Instagram or add me on PSN. I'm petplatypus on both. You can also give this video a thumbs up, share it on social media. Both those help me out a lot, and might even help Young Justice out a lot. Subscribe if you haven't already, if you like what you've seen here. If you watched the whole video, you must have liked it at least a little bit, so go ahead and subscribe. I want to thank you guys for watching, and I will talk to you guys later. Bye.